Statistically, the person with the most potential in a sport has never even tried to unlock it. Out of everyone in the world, the person that could potentially be the best at a sport will never know that they'd be the best in the world at it. In a series of hypothetical scenarios in which every person could dedicate their whole life to every single pursuit, then, yes, it's unlikely that the person we currently recognize as the greatest in their respective field would retain that status. It's even worse for motorsport. You could be an incredibly talented driver, but without money you can't race. You could be aware of your talent, but have no opportunity to show it because you are poor. That's why niche sports are hilarious. Some weekender can just come and blow them out of the water. I watched a video of a skinny mountain climber entering a strongman competition the other day, and he set a world record in his weight class in one of the events. I think he came in the top 20 out of 50 absolute giant monsters. Statistically, the person with the most potential in any field has never even tried to unlock it. I mean, maybe on the LeBron could have been the best tight end or volleyball player level, but not on the Jim from accounting could have been better than Babe Ruth level. That whole abandon an activity thing if I'm not immediately good at it or interested in it thing really fucked me over. I hate ADHD. There's some really wild stuff going on in the weighting powerlifting world right now. I'm part of FB group and you get everyday Joes lifting for 2-3 years and all of a sudden they can lift 500-600 pounds. I've seen a few videos of 13-year-old girls squatting 315 pounds at RPE 810. My gym now has women squatting 225-315 for sets of 5-10. And dudes squatting 405. X200B, we all have great potential for something. It could even be you. Sports and everything else. This is why we need to facilitate the access to education to literally every human being. Not only for justice, but for the selfishness of not missing any breakthrough in science or medicine. I've always thought about this in regards to intelligence and inventors and such. How many kids in history were born with the natural intellect of Isaac Newton but died to war or famine, or just didn't get the education they needed to realize their potential? Not addressing Arp's point directly, but I've read a memoir of a football soccer coach and talent scout. He addressed this intuitive thought specifically regards undiscovered footballing talent somewhere in the world. He said something along the lines of if someone plays a sport, anywhere in the world they will have been watched by someone who can recognize and report on talent. Everyone that plays football has been watched. There's no such thing as an undiscovered talent in football. I am, somehow, less interested in the weight and convolutions of Einstein's brain than in the near certainty that people of equal talent have lived and died in cotton fields and sweatshop. Stephen Jay Gould. To be fair, if you actualize the potential it stops being potential. What really moves people, though, is recognizing someone's dedication and hard-earned mastery, no matter their initial potential. Same for all musical instruments and the arts. I think about this all the time in regards to acting. Such a very small subset of people have access or encouragement to act. Think about how many actors hail from SoCal or are outright children of actors. Is it in their blood or is it just that these people have the network and understand how the sausage is made whereas some schmuck from the Midwest doesn't? I think that's what makes Lionel Messi so much of a phenomenon. Is that virtually everyone in the world has at least tried to play soccer football by kicking a ball, yet he is undoubtedly the most talented in the world of his era at least. That's one guy standing out amongst billions. I'm pretty sure I could have been the greatest quarterback that ever lived. Because my mom said I was special. This obtuse perspective completely undermines hard work to be good at something. As if somebody might just wake up one day and be like, I feel like I can run a sub-4-minute mile today. Yes, there are a lot of factors that play into potential: genetics, biology, etc., but that potential will never be fully realized without putting in the work. You can't just say statistically and expect everyone to nod. What is this ice-cold take based on? Probably not. Some people, yes, but a lot of people are ass at sports. Reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. I am, somehow, less interested in the weight and convolutions of Einstein's brain than in the near certainty that people of equal talent have lived and died in cotton fields and sweatshop. Screw statistics. I am pretty sure Michael Jordan unlocked the greatest basketball potential. I don't even like basketball, but I watched dozens of Bulls games when he was in his prime because the shit he did was magical. There is no such thing as the most potential in sport. You get some natural gifts like height, athleticism, etc. Then you put in a shit ton of trainings and hope you're lucky enough to get picked to go pro. And that's the simplified version. There are dozens of factors to create an amazing athlete. Most people try enough things that if they're in that 0.01 of talent, they figure that out. Yeah, I could if I wanted to, but I don't wanna. No, that's not true. I'm very aware that I would have been the best footballer alive if I actually took it seriously. If you want to be assy with this, if you have no interest, can't play a sport for whatever reason, your potential is zero. All our heroes are frauds. The fuck does this even mean? Potential means nothing if it's not acted on. You have to work your way to showing potential. And then work at it. So if you've never done the baseline work, how can you say you have the most potential? Now, would love to see the stats. There are no LeBron James clones walking around who just didn't luck out. These non-zero probability of X shower thoughts are getting silly. It was me, sorry guys. I have the most potential in sport and never pursued it. Practice makes perfect. Nobody's perfect. Why practice? I doubt there is ever gonna be a second Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, Messi, Ronnie Coleman, Ronnie O'Sullivan. Being great at sport is also not just about talent. It definitely helps, but putting effort and time into it is what makes the great ones great. A lot of people have what it takes in them, but they don't have the will to put in the effort. It is amusing to contemplate that I could have been the best cricket player who ever lived if not for the fact that I've never played cricket. Ultimately, such musings are meaningless. Success isn't about potential but also about commitment, desire, and opportunity. Talent doesn't mean much if it is never applied properly. Technically, by definition, the person with the most potential in a sport has never unlocked it. If they have done so, then they no longer have that potential. The greatest pianist in history was a plumber, and the most soulful bluesman in history froze to death in a boxcar. It's the greatest fortune possible to be what you were meant to be. There is some joke like best athlete potential in world might be there in Chinese rural, wondering how he can afford next day meal. But everything is like that too. I think we already lost chance to beget permanent world peace, best scientific achievement, etc. etc. Potential is just potential. I bet injuries stop a lot of people that could be great. Yeah. Singing is exactly the problem that the people with the least amount of range and ability believe they have mastered it young, and that they are special and talented. The guy who can't find his head voice because he doesn't realize how to do it, but has a 3-4 octave range is probably going to be seen as untalented because the potential is ridiculous. Once he gets his shit together. Yeah, it's probably me. Side thought: for every person in the world, there exists a game, a set of rules and goals, that perfectly matches this person's disposition to play it, in a way that we could call this person the most talented or potent player of this game. Most, if not all, of these games, however, do not exist yet. Yeah, swimming is fairly universal in that sense. While not everyone will, it's a basic skill rather than a sport. Now most Winter Olympic sports are things the majority will never get to try. Skiing, skeleton bob etc. are things most people will never get to try. Or anything that involves equipment that would exclude many due to cost: fencing, golf etc.